Vib Ribbon is a 1999 rhythm video game that sees you guiding a rabbit-style character across lines of obstacles that correspond to beats within the music. So you'll have a specific set of buttons and combinations in which to press in a timed fashion in order to avoid the obstacles, to complete the objectives, to finish the levels. Now, while it might seem easy, and even just looking from the simplicity of the graphics as it plays from like a 2D or 2.5D perspective with wireframe visuals, make no mistake that this game is very tough. I originally played this game as part of a demo that came as part of the monthly PlayStation magazine, and for all intents and purposes I always struggled with it. I could never get to grips with the controls. Even to this day, if I go back to play the game, I still can't get my head around really what to do, because even when I do time the buttons or press them, now maybe it's just me, it's one of those games I could never really get into. I always struggle with it, and it's the same even now, hence what you see on the screen even when I try different things, because it is all about timing, and you have to press the buttons at the exact time when you're close to an obstacle in order for the action to take hold. And if you don't press it in time, or if you press it too soon or too late, sure, you end up messing up the whole move, and do enough of them and it'll be game over and you'll have to restart. So there is a lot of trial and error involved, but with it being a rhythm game, it puts you in mind of other titles of a similar calibre with the likes of Parappa the Rapper and a few others that used a similar concept where different animations and moves would be presented based off of the button combinations that you'd execute, and you would need to do that again to finish up the level. But these games aren't easy. One of the unique factors with this game was the inclusion that you could use your own music CD, so any music discs that you had lying around, you could pop them into your PlayStation and play your favourite tunes, but allowed you to also play the game based off of the beats of the tunes. Now, that could also present a different challenge, because for more seasoned players, with the beats being more fast paced and frantic, you'd be in your element with this if you knew what you were doing. But as for the rest of us casual gamers, pretty much that'd be non-existent. You won't even have a hope in hell. Now, upon its release, the game was met generally with positive reviews amongst critics, praising its minimalist design and visuals, garnering it to be a very unique and interesting concept that, while it was simplistic, but it was challenging, but it was just different from everything else that was seen out there. It just went for a totally different approach that you wouldn't see with other mainstream games, and as a result the game stood out massively among the sea of other titles that were out there. The game was that popular that in its first week alone in Japan it sold over 100,000 units, and if you look at the game reviews with well-known magazines, it scored very high. But again, that's not to say that it's easy, because it isn't. It is a tough and challenging game. It's one of those games that you do have to put a lot of time and effort into it just to get the most out of it. But for those that do, the sense of reward that you'll get will definitely be worth it. But for lesser skilled players, it will only lead to frustration. Trust me. It's just a different concept, something that stood out for its time, that was very different amongst a sea of other games that were out there, that set its own style and trends. And the reality is that this game is so unique that you don't really see anything like this even in today's world. You really don't. Even with the amount of music style rhythm games that are out there, there's nothing that looks anywhere near to the style that Vib Ribbon presented back then. So it truly is one of a kind. With that being said, while I know I've struggled at the game and I've aired my grievances and gripes over it, but it's not a bad game in general. It really isn't. But I would love to know your thoughts of this and what did you think of it overall. Did you have a lot of fun with this game, and did you really enjoy it? Or did you even enjoy playing it with your own music CDs back in the day? So I'd love to hear whatever stories you do have of it, so be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you would like to see more content around even more quirky and very unusual games like this that were also released on the PlayStation, then you can check out this playlist here on screen to see more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.